They call it proof. Archaeology, prophecy, miracles. But when you look closer, really closer, the evidence for the Bible starts to look less like divine revelation and more like creative marketing. So let's strip away the sermons and study the evidence, the kind apologists wave around like a shield, and see what's actually there when faith steps aside. Archaeology proves the Bible, they say. Sure, some ancient cities and kings existed, so did dragons in medieval maps. Finding a few names in the dirt doesn't make the entire story true. Jericho's walls. They fell centuries before Israel supposedly showed up, at least according to mainstream archaeology. A few fringe scholars still argue otherwise, but their claims don't line up with the evidence. The Exodus? No trace. Not a campfire. Not a footprint. If miracles really happened, seas splitting. Manna from heaven, shouldn't we find something? Single Egyptian record saying, hey, half our army drowned today? Instead, silence. The Bible's archaeology isn't confirmation. It's damage control. It's like finding a Starbucks cup in a Roman ruin and claiming it proves Starbucks existed then, rather than, someone just dropped it. Then there's the claim about Moses' stone, or Hebrew inscriptions at Mount Sinai. Sounds impressive until you learn the inscriptions predate Hebrew entirely. They're Canaanite markings, not messages from Yahweh. No mention of Moses, no 10 Commandments, just wishful translation. If millions of people wandered that desert for 40 years, you'd expect pottery, graves, tools, something. Instead, nothing but sand and silence. Apologists love this one. Archaeologists found Egyptian chariots under the Red Sea. Except, they didn't. The claim came from Ron Wyatt, the same man who also found Noah's Ark. The Ark of the Covenant, and Jesus dried blood under Calvary. Zero peer-reviewed evidence. No wreckage, no weapons, no bones. Marine archaeologists combed the seafloor. Nothing. No divine traffic jam, just coral formations that people want to look like wheels. Then there's the famous cloth, the Shroud of Turin, the burial sheet of Jesus himself. Carbon dating says otherwise. It's medieval, 13th to 14th century. Even the Vatican quietly admits it's a symbol of faith, not a proven artifact. And even if it were from the time of Jesus, so what? No DNA, no historical record, no chain of custody. It could have belonged to anyone. Cloth without context isn't evidence. It's a blank canvas. And people have been painting stories onto it for centuries. A divine relic? Maybe, but more likely just another case of religious fan fiction wrapped in linen. Next up, Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat. Expeditions, photos, wood samples, all supposedly proving a global flood. Except every test says the same thing. Rock, not wood. Even when wood is found, it's local. It's preserved by cold, not divine shipbuilding. No geological evidence of a world flood exists. Civilizations from that period show zero interruption. Egypt kept right on building pyramids while the world was supposedly underwater. And then there's Sodom and Gomorrah. Christians say God nuked them with fire from heaven. Scientists say a meteor likely exploded over the region, similar to Tunguska, flattening everything in sight. Natural event, myth attached later. The Bible moralized a meteor and called it sin management. The Dead Sea Scrolls prove the Bible's accuracy. Actually, they prove the opposite. Dozens of variations, alternate psalms, different versions of Isaiah. The scrolls show a messy evolution of texts, a religion mid-edit, not miraculously preserved. The only thing they confirm? That belief was already splintering long before Christianity arrived to finish the job. The Bible predicted science, they say. The earth is round. It mentions ocean currents. But if you cherry-pick long enough, you can find science in Harry Potter. The same book that supposedly foresaw modern cosmology also says the earth rests on pillars, that light existed before the sun, that rabbits chew cud, that bats are birds, that insects walk on 4 legs, that stars can fall to earth as if the cosmos were a snow globe waiting to be shaken. Every time the Bible touches nature, it shows its age, the worldview of Bronze Age tribes, not omniscient gods. If God wrote a science textbook, wouldn't it be more accurate than something Wikipedia would flag for misinformation? Over 5,000 manuscripts, They boast. 99% accurate if you ignore the verses added centuries later. But quantity doesn't equal quality. Hundreds of thousands of textual variants, whole endings added, entire verses fabricated. The woman caught in adultery? Added later. The resurrection's most dramatic scenes? Absent from the earliest copies? If the Word of God needs that many rewrites, maybe the editors were the real prophets. The Bible predicted the future. Did it, though? Most prophecies are vague, poetic, or edited post-event. Out of Egypt I called my son. About Israel, not Jesus. Psalm 22, ancient lament, not messianic forecast. If Nostradamus wrote it, Christians would call it witchcraft. But when it's in the Bible, it's divine foresight. You can predict anything when you own the sequel. People's lives are changed by the Bible? That's proof. By that logic, every religion is true. Muslims, Hindus, Scientologists, even cults claim transformation. Change isn't proof of truth, it's proof of belief. And belief doesn't need evidence. It just needs fear, comfort, and repetition. Psychology, not prophecy. Humans crave meaning, and the Bible, like countless other texts, simply sells it well. The Bible's too unified to be written by humans. You mean the book with 2 creation stories? 4 Gospels that disagree on what Jesus said when he said it and who saw him rise. And a God who changes his mind more than a toddler deciding on snacks. That's divine consistency? The bar's in hell. It's not unified, it's edited to appear unified. A theological patchwork quilt stitched together by men who couldn't agree on which parts to keep. Every religion needs armor. Evidences aren't about truth, they're about insulation. Because if believers admit the Bible might not be perfect, the system collapses. So they patch the holes with pseudoscience, circular logic, and selective memory. Archaeology confirms it when it doesn't. It predicted history when history was rewritten to fit. It's consistent. If you ignore the contradictions, it's not evidence, it's marketing. Faith rebranded as fact. Apologetics isn't about discovery, it's maintenance for a collapsing mythology. And when you strip away the apologetics, the charts, the scholars, what's left? A book written by people, edited by people, defended by people, afraid of what happens if they stop. The Bible doesn't stand because of evidence. It stands because of repetition, because it's taught before you can question it. Faith depends on never reading it too closely. We didn't inherit a divine revelation. We inherited a very human story, rewritten, glorified, and weaponized for centuries. If the Bible isn't perfect, then neither are we, and that's okay. We don't need fear to be moral or worship to be kind. We just need honesty, because truth doesn't need defending. It doesn't fear examination. It doesn't demand worship. It doesn't crumble when questioned. Only lies need protection. Only fragile beliefs need fences, and only fear keeps them standing. So the next time someone says, archaeology proves it, science confirms it, faith explains it, ask them this. If your truth needs constant defense, was it ever true to begin with? Because truth invites questions. Faith forbids them. And between those two, only one will survive the light.